In this lesson, we're going to continue looking at inputs and outputs. And you're going to have to be thinking about looking at these keywords. Make sure you know all these keywords. We are still working at the same point on the specification, but this time looking at output devices. Remember our abstracted view of a computer system. We're now looking at the outputs from the computer system. After data has been processed, it's outputted into a form which a human would understand. An output device is usually a peripheral. Remember, we looked at peripherals in the last lesson. These are devices that take data produced within the computer system and provide an output to the user, and could be in many forms. An output could be text, images, music, or printing. Now remember, at A level, it's more than just knowing what the output devices are. You've got to be able to reason for output devices for a system or evaluate them. Now here was our analogy. Cars. Remember, a good output device should be cost effective. It should produce accurate results which are reliable but in a timely manner, thinking about speed. You should all know some fairly common output devices which include screens, printers, projectors and speakers. Task 1 is to complete a table. What's the purpose of these common output devices? What are the costs, the pros and the cons? As we look at the different types of output devices and you make a resource for your notes, I want you to be thinking about the following. What is the technology? How does it work? The examples of it in real life, and the pros and cons that come with that piece of technology. Remember, there is an extension to look at other new futuristic output devices that you can find that might be of interest to you. So I want us now to have a little bit of a deeper look into some of these output devices. I want you to make a revision resource about the different output devices in different topics and different categories. So the first category is a screen. Now you get different types of screens. Think about a television screen. When we're buying a TV screen, quite often we're presented with a lot of different options. Well, I want you to look into the differences between LCD and LED. Then there's speakers. There are multiple types of speakers. We can think of headphones in this category as well. And finally, we're going to look at printers. I want you to look at these different 3 types of printers. Now, these are the next 2 that I want you to research and explain about. Multimedia projectors. We get all sorts of projectors nowadays, including 3D projectors. The final one, you might be a little bit confused with, you might not have come across these before, but they're in our everyday life. Actuators. These, I want you to go and research what they do and where they impact our lives. Now remember, I said it's more than just being able to know the input or output devices. You need to be able to actually recommend and evaluate why you might choose that computer system. So over the next 2 pages, I'm giving you 2 different case studies. You need to explain the systems that you would choose, and then make sure you explain your reasoning. So think about why you choose that system over another one. What would make that system stand out? Your first case study is British Airways. British Airways would like you to develop a new interior entertainment system to upgrade their current planes. This would be for the economy seats. They want a screen for every seat and an entertainment system for every seat. So you're going to have to recommend what screen you would suggest and what entertainment system you would suggest. So what input might you want? What output might you want? And how would that work? But they want this to be cutting edge. They want it to be interactive, and they want it to be innovative. They want to be the best airline with the best customer service, and this is one of the best ways that they're going to do it. Your second case study is complexed. Now, I want you to make sure you're recommending input and output devices only. You don't need to think about the software or how this might be done, or how the programs might work. And this is for the actual dentists and the actual clinic, not for the clients. So first of all, they're creating this new system. A dentist needs to be able to access patient data. They need to be able to access that data whilst with the patient so they can view records from previous visits. However, this data is sensitive and should only be seen by the dentist. So you're going to have to think about more than just a password system. How might you do that? Just thinking about input and output for now. They also want a system where when the patient visits, it takes a picture of their teeth. It's going to save it in the patient's records, and the computer system will automatically analyse the differences between their visits. Now remember, we're only thinking about the input and output devices that we need here. We don't need to think about the software or how that will happen. They also don't want receptionists, remember. So they want patients, when they arrive, to be able to check in. They'll need to check in and they'll be given a brief medical questionnaire. This confirms their current circumstances and if anything has changed since their last visit, such as if they have any new allergies or if they have any pain or anything in particular that the dentist needs to be aware of. When they leave, they need to leave with a new appointment. Now, usually in a dentist, you'd go to receptionists and you'd book that. Now, what we don't want is we don't want the dentist to be spending time booking new appointments, so this has to be done via a computer system. Now, we could do this with an application where a client books their next appointment. But we also want a system where clients can also book an appointment when they're actually there before they leave. Some clients won't have access to computers and they will want a printed next appointment card. So you need to consider this as well. You also need to consider calling patients into the dentist's in their room. You need to have some form of signage which is going to call the patient through. But for disabilities, you're going to have to think about there's going to have to be a sound there as well. There's an awful lot to think about here, and there are more things that you could add to this system. As an extension, think about how you could extend this system to support the dentists and the clients whilst they are actually in the actual dentists.